Solovey, Solovey, Solovey. I need to take that up a few octaves if I want to match Go A's stunning lead singer. Ukraine has chosen, Vidbir is over, and there is a Nightingale headed to Rotterdam. Should we talk about it?
Let's do this.
Yes, Solovey means nightingale. This song is about a woman who has met a man named Ivan in the woods, and she is in love with him. But Ivan says mother cannot find out. The lyrics go something like this. You are pretty, Katya, my dear Katya. I'll love you, for as long as mother doesn't know. Then our lead singer from Go Away, she goes, Nightingale, Nightingale, do not sing so early. My heart can't feel good about this. Oh, what do I do now? I came to love him, and I cannot forget him. The story is one of torment, and I think she delivers it with full drama. If looks could kill, at times we would be dead. She is so steely. She is so fierce. She's singing in the white voice, the traditional white voice, melding something ancient with very modern, very contemporary production. Urban staging meets mysterious forest. I'm waffling. Needless to say, I think this is interesting, mysterious, and enchanting. Angus, what about you?
I think certainly we can say vanilla this is not. This is something that has a distinctive sound. It makes an impact. I think it has a lot going for it. There's a lot of nice soaring kind of anthemic moments. That sort of marching band beat is quite hypnotic, is an adjective we often use, but it sort of draws you in to that world. And yeah, I don't think there's really a song that's been selected so far this year that sounds like this. And I do think sort of the electric guitar style moment at the end with the flaming bolts. Rock has a franchise at Eurovision. It's not to be denied. There have been songs that are in that type of genre. That being said, I think visually it's quite aggressive. And I sort of found that quite off-putting even in a much smaller lineup tonight. Admittedly, some of that will be dissipated. They may change styling quirks between the ends. But yeah, it has moments for it. Equally, I sort of struggle for a melody or a hook here that will kind of bring me in to it. However, I think the panpipe's very nice. There's some good sounds, and the pre-chorus I think is particularly effective as they kind of build in this kind of beat and drum beat and building up. Yeah, so to say kind of a game of 2 hours. I think some nice production touches, some musical elements. Equally distinctive as it is sounding wise, I don't know if it has sort of the impact that you want for memorability, we can say.
I think it starts off very well. That you have this haunting kind of flute, panpipe, whatever the instrument is. It's very Tinkara Kovac, Emily de Forest. It's atmospheric, it's dark, it's moody. And then it just goes all downhill for me. I'm sorry. This is a very alienating song. I think it's got a very niche market, that it's very much a song for Ukraine. I don't see it appealing outside of Ukraine. Firstly, it's in Ukrainian. That's fine. But then the genre itself is so specific to that region, and there's no English lyrics to kind of make it transcend that. Unlike Tulia, they just missed out on the final last year with a similar style of song, but they had English thrown in. And then it's not quite white voice, but Bulgaria 2013, they had a kind of very unique, shrill female vocal. They didn't qualify. And I don't think, if I've been racking my brain, I don't think this song type of music has ever qualified for the Eurovision final. I might be wrong, but the closest I could think of was Georgia 2011, which is completely different vocal, but it is a woman with a very distinct vocal that's different than Norman. That's the only example I could think of. It's so alienating, and she looks like she could stab you. I don't think there's any votability in it whatsoever outside of that very specific region. They're in a tough semi-final. And I think that Ukraine might be losing its 100% qualification record this year.
Okay. I hear you, and I understand a lot of what you're saying. I think Poland's Tulia leaned more traditional in the sense that the staging was also very traditional. Our girl from Go A, she's mixing avant-garde with traditional with urban. She's trying to use kind of production and staging to make it more 2020, whereas Tulia, it was very traditional. I liked it. I've said this before, I really like Tulia, but I understand why that shrill sound, which you referenced, does not appeal to people often. But I think this just has urban, edgy grit, like the drummer on the can with the snow or the dust or the dirt or an illicit drug popping up. The kind of graffiti, it's not graffiti, but the background LED. There's just a lot that makes this quite interesting. Her dress, she looks like an edgy Nightingale at Paris Fashion Week. The bird flew from the coupe to the runway. It's just very interesting and out there, and it certainly adds a different flavor and a different texture to Eurovision 2020. Ain't nobody gonna be singing like this. Ain't nobody gonna be that high-pitched. It's just really interesting. I think she's clearly a master of her type of genre and her style, but I do take your point that maybe that will be off-putting to a lot of people. Some people have said on wiwibloggs.com that this is like Samuel Championi from Bulgaria 2013 meets Palisi, and as you pointed out, neither of those qualified. Angus, do you think that the staging, the beauty that they're creating on the stage, Ukraine is very good at that. Look at 2011. They know how to mask questionable songs with very good staging, and I don't think this is a questionable song. I think this is a good song. Long story short, do you think staging can save this to the masses?
I think if the staging stays as it is, absolutely it is one of the moments commentators around Europe will highlight to people when they tune in at the start of the show and say, this is something that you should look out for in the lineup. Do I think that's going to be for the right reasons, i.e. engaging with this kind of nice sentiment to the song or sort of talking it up as one of the hype entries for the night? I'm less convinced. I think this is one of those songs that, to Porig's point around translation, it doesn't translate well. I think particularly in Western Europe, it's the kind of thing that will be used as sort of a more out there entry. And yeah, I think it would take an awful lot of work on the staging side to make it kind of palatable as is at the moment. I think they kind of need to either overhaul it or not sand artistry, but something in the screens to actually communicate the message of what is happening. Because from a progression point of view, it is relatively linear progression, as we would talk about, although there is kind of pre-choruses and bits that go sort of up and down. It's not, there's not like a Jamala big note burst of energy type thing that sort of elevated 1944 in a similar type of genre to this. So in answer to the full question, I think the staging needs a rework if they're serious about qualifying. If this is just about a song for Ukraine, then that's kind of a different matter.
The question with staging is you can only sprinkle so much glitter on a turd. This is not a turd, but that's kind of my point, is that it's not, I struggle to see a path to qualification for this. I don't see what constituency of viewers would vote for this. The people who like ballads aren't going to like it. The people who want the Fuego party songs aren't going to like it. The people who want the joke songs aren't going to like it. People will say, oh, juries will appreciate it. Did juries appreciate Conan Osiris? No. And Conan Osiris had much broader appeal than this. At least he was singing in kind of a vocal tone that Western and Eastern ears were familiar with. This is going to be very alien to Western viewers. And I don't know if... and also, it doesn't have the same story that Jamala or Salvador Sobral had. It doesn't have a universal message that transcends the language and transcends the obscure genre. And I will be shocked if it qualifies. I know I keep saying it. Like, I can appreciate its merits because of the genre. I'm no expert on the genre. I'm not very familiar, aside from the few I've heard in other Eurovision years and other selections. But I don't think you could throw the kitchen sink and everything else at it, but I don't see it improving.
Ksenia Semenova, Mika Newton. I bring this up because the PR that year later told me we had a bad song, so we had to hide it. So we brought in a sand lady. We finished in 4th place. I think this song is in a better position than that. And this, okay, you disagree. I think
the thing is, if you were to get Mika Newton's song and present it to your average viewer in the UK or France or whatever, they'd be like, it's very bland, but it's nice. If you were to get Go A song and present it to them, they would turn it off because it's just such an unusual sound for them. And Ksenia Semenova could be doing handstands while she's doing her sand painting, and it's not going to rescue.
Listen, honey.
The other thing to Tamika Newton is that song was in English, so that translates a lot more widely straight off the bat.
And saying the word angel 55 times appeals to everyone. Listen, I think Ukraine is known for epic staging. When they get it so right. I think to an earlier point, this was geared for a domestic audience, but now that they're going to Eurovision, perhaps they'll make the staging somehow more universal. They know how to do staging. They know how to do graphics. And while I totally accept that this is going to be divisive musically, I think they might have that wow moment that could push them over the line to qualify. I don't think it's a guarantee by any means, but I do always have faith in Ukraine to pull out the stops. There are people on wiwibloggs.com in the comment section who do not. Roy Moreno says, the chorus reminds me of Jingle Bells. Just sing it in your head during the chorus, you'll understand me. I'm just going to leave that there and let you do that on your own time. All right, final thoughts. For me, I just want to say, I view Eurovision almost like as this gorgeous contemporary museum, and you get to stop by all these different countries and look at like what they're offering, what they're creating. And I respect Ukraine for doing something daring, out there, a little kooky, because this is kooky. I find it enchanting. I love the dance move. I love how they've packaged it. Yeah, and I'm going to hope that they can bring some epic staging to Eurovision to push it over the line. Angus.
Yeah, I will say I think there's moments like I think kind of the pan pipes that we've talked about. There are some nice sounds in here from that kind of ethnic range of sounds that we often talk about being nice. Stylistically, I think it's problematic. I think it's quite aggressive and very red, and also the performance is quite static. I feel like there's not a lot beyond her with like the mentioned dance move, beyond moving from the stands. And I would worry about how far this is going to translate. I think, you know, as a television moment, maybe they can do something with it. This is not a song I'm rushing to download.
I think we have Maruv to blame for this. I think it's reverberations from last year that the likes of Kaska, the likes of Teana, all the other big names that we've come to associate did not enter. The person who came second was Kuyat, who many are suggesting had a better song that was eliminated in the semi-finals last year. And I simply think that this year's crop of songs was not up there with the Vidbirs that we've been familiar with. And I think that a lot of artists that potentially maybe not necessarily have markets yet in Russia, but might want Russia as a market, or potentially don't want to be grilled by judges on a Saturday night as to their opinions on Crimea, have stepped away. Because if you're a successful artist and you have a career, why would you want to go through what Maruv had to go through? And I think that until Ukraine gets its I don't want to use bad words, but you know what, together, they're going to have a problem, because I can't see them getting the big established names that they've had in past years, and they're going to be stuck with these niche acts. Because the final was very much a song for Ukraine. There wasn't much international flavour in it at all. And while it's good to have your own flavour, because otherwise Eurovision becomes very bland, you need to have something that will cross borders.
Well, damn.
I don't know. I mean, the vegan song cross borders. There are plenty of vegans.
The vegan song borrowed from every single border, and it threw everything in. It was amazing with the vegan song because vegans have the problem that they can't find enough ingredients. Jerry Heil threw in too many ingredients.
She eats carrots is my big takeaway. I loved that she emerged from a fridge. I gotta say, I loved Kayat's staging. I thought that was really quite cool. He looked like some kind of samurai warrior who just woke up and landed in the Matrix. You know, that big old circle. It was so visually arresting. In any case, that's what we think. What do you think? Has Ukraine made the right choice? And do you think Go A can go to the final? Let us know here on wiwibloggs.
Make sure to subscribe to the channel, give us a like, let us know in the comments below what you think about Ukraine's act for Eurovision this year, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a video from us again.
And come visit us on wiwibloggs.com.
Yeah, we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.